Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Midnight Therapy. I'm your host, the one and only Cat Matthews. Wow, what a busy life it is. Sorry it's late. I know it's late. I'm sorry you went the weekend without it. But the new episode is here. I don't know when you're going to see it. Probably Tuesday morning at this rate. Right now it is Monday night. I have been preoccupied with a plethora of things that I have to do. It's crazy. Holiday window painting has consumed my life recently, and I didn't even know that I would ever be doing something like that. I was asked one time to do it, and I did, and posted it online, and then everybody started asking me, and I didn't want to say no because I love money. Bit off more than I could chew, though. Took up a lot of time out in the cold. The brutal, bitter cold to paint windows. But it's fun. I like it. But had to get a lot of them done this weekend. It took a lot of my time. I also had a karaoke gig. I haven't been doing the karaoke lately, but a great establishment that I love very much, near and dear to my heart, asked me to do it, and I couldn't say no. Andy Gavin's, shout out in Scranton. Great Irish pub. We had a pretty rockin' karaoke. I think that's fair to say. It was a great turnout. Ended up being really fun. I think everybody had a good time. I had a great time. They didn't have Busch Light. Slight little negative of the night, but, I found a replacement. I drank vodka instead, which never ends up too great. The aftermath is never too great, but it makes for me being very fun. Makes for you, the customer, having a fun host. And makes for me the next morning being a little hungover while painting windows, which is not the best. But still a fun weekend. Made a lot of money, which is always good, especially around the holidays. The holidays are here. This is a Thanksgiving episode. This is probably the last episode before Thanksgiving because I don't see myself doing one before Thanksgiving, considering it's only a few days away. So happy Thanksgiving. It's good to have extra money around the holidays because that's all this society is anymore, is spending money. Every aspect of life is now monetized and spun in some way that it's at least a possibility that what you're seeing is to make a profit in every aspect of your life. So me, I'm trying to go to bed and I get a text, and it's not really a text, but it's Amazon. It's like, your cart is calling. Time to buy what's in your cart. Look. And I'm like, oh, I do want that. That's not right, is it? We know Amazon is pretty malicious with that. But is that immoral? I don't know. Should you be texting me or notifying me that my cart is calling, that I need to buy what's in my cart? They're saying the quiet part out loud, like they don't even care anymore. They're like, buy more stuff. Do it. It's Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Anyways, it works. I did it. I bought what was in my cart. And it feels good. You ever do that? Get that dopamine. Right when you hit buy, you go, yes. Time to do it again. But yeah, it's good to have money. Speaking of Andy Gavin's again, that bar is haunted. I used to go there a lot back in the day, pre-COVID. Shout out, great place. Me and a lot of my friends had a great time there many times. We even incorporated that bar in some way, shape, or form into our adult animated series, Very Barely. Just wanted to throw that out there. And the fact that it's haunted had a lot to do with the inspiration for Barry, the character in the show that is a ghost. The ghost that haunts that bar The name is George. I hope I'm getting that right. But George the Ghost has been, a lot of people have had encounters with George the Ghost at Andy Gavin's. And if you haven't heard of this, go check it out. Great bar. Had a great time doing karaoke. I'll probably be back. We're going to get into this. I want it to be a nice, quick episode because I'm, again, very busy. I wanted to talk about how weird life is with a little current events recap. Let's get into it. Candace Owens, you know how I feel about her. I think what she's doing, to say one nice thing about her, is the only thing I really like about her is she's kind of in that outsider group of people that were establishment and are now independent journalists. I guess you could say podcasters that once had prominent positions in the mainstream media. I don't know. She's pretty mainstream. She likes you to believe she's an outsider, but either way, she's a podcaster that has a pretty popular podcast, and that's the credit I'll give her, the positive. The negative, of course, is that she is kind of doing a grift where she pretends she is this come from nothing. I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I built all this genuinely. I was best friends with Charlie Kirk, and he wants me to avenge him by reliving his death again and again and again on my podcast as I treat it like a crime podcast, like a true crime detective show with cliffhangers every week. Like that, you know, that's the negative. She's kind of a little disingenuous in that. And as I said, before Charlie Kirk unfortunately was assassinated, her big gimmick, like her big grift, like the focus of her grift was exposing the French prime minister's wife's penis. Macron. Brigitte. Oh. That was it. And then Charlie Kirk was assassinated tragically, and then she made that her big focus. Now that is maybe fizzling out a little. She had this big thing. She was like, I have the most breaking news. It's going to be crazy. She does this every week. And then she's like, there were Egyptian planes at the airport. And Charlie loved planes. And he would have noticed that the paint on the planes was an Egyptian airline. And everybody is kind of like, all right, maybe she's making this up. I don't know. She said that, I don't know, she had dreams that Charlie said, you need to avenge me, and I was killed wrongly, and here's who you need to look into. Like, it got a little odd. To start to fizzle, let's just say, I think, the momentum. She was very popular for a while. I don't know how much longer you can, let's say, exploit someone's terrible death. I don't know. Maybe she's not doing that. Maybe she is genuinely trying to get to the bottom of this. I don't know. I mean, her big sell was that she's the only one doing it that cares, and I think that's kind of nice. Either way, whatever your thoughts are on that. Now it's that the French and Israeli government hired assassins to take her out. That's the new thing that's going on now. Now, again, these true crime type shows, they're very popular, especially among women. Women love these true crime shows. It's just a fact. They love these podcasts that are crime podcasts. And Candace kind of turned into that. And now she is the main character of the scandal. And that's fair game. If you're the main scandal, nobody can accuse you of exploiting someone else's misfortune if you paint yourself as the one that's getting wrongfully targeted. So, of course, I hope this isn't true that these governments would do something like that. But we're gonna watch this case closely. But this all started allegedly with her looking into the prime minister's wife's penis. Little odd. Now, speaking of that appendage, Jeffrey Epstein made the news again. The monster Jeffrey Epstein. We're going to talk about him a little bit more later, but they're saying that there's another account from a victim or a witness or whoever that said his, you know, his organ was shaped like a lemon, and it was deformed, like a deformed lemon. Now, just to be a, you know, have some integrity as a journalist, there was another case of a woman describing this appendage, and she said it was shaped like an egg. Just to clarify, now an egg and a lemon are, if you think about it, similar shapes. They're like elongated ovals or an ellipse. You know what I'm saying? So just to throw that out there. Was there a revolution in Mexico this past week? Like, I don't know. You see this stuff online. You're like, is that real? Is that AI? But I think there was some sort of revolution against the cartel in Mexico. Look it up. Are we at war with Venezuela? Like, are we still bombing these fishing boats? Is the United States doing that? I don't know what's going on. It's hard to keep up with this, but I do know this happened. Dearborn, Michigan, there's these anti-Muslim protests going on. And I've been saying this for a long time. This is where we don't want to be. We don't want to get to this point where we think we're just going to become radical on either end of the spectrum and fight each other in the streets. That's not going to work. And unfortunately, this is happening. You have this January 6th guy, Jake Lang. Is that his name? Now, when I read these stories to you, when I read these headlines and talk about this, if you were to go back 10 years, you'd be like, this is crazy. I can't believe what he's saying. But this is actually real. This isn't fake, but life keeps slipping deeper into obscurity. And you know it's true. And you just accept it a little more every day, even though it's getting weirder and weirder. I'm just here to remind you that it's weird. I want you to remember that this is not typical behavior. But this Jake Lang guy who was at the January 6th insurrection, Capitol raid, he's out now. He's back. He's wearing this vest, like a tactical vest. And he was beating the Quran, the holy book of Muslims, the Bible of the Islamic world. He was beating that book with a pack of bacon, pork bacon. And obviously, pork is not allowed in Islam. Muslims do not eat pork. Neither do Jewish people. It is haram. I believe that's the word. Not allowed. Halal is allowed. So that's pretty insulting. And he tried to also burn the Quran on the street. And this guy's getting a lot of attention. He's in a lot of videos. Almost seems staged. But there's so many videos of this guy recently that just popped up in Dearborn. And he's doing all these weird stunts that are anti-Muslim. But this seems like a radicalization, kind of like last century. You have these groups conflicting with each other and making people the other. Nothing good will come of this, I promise you. One of the largest Muslim populations in the USA is in Dearborn, and don't think it's coincidence that this guy is stirring shit up there. Everybody's looking for their money. You know that, right? Everybody wants their day in the sun. I do window paintings and karaoke, and I get money, and that's honest work. And I enjoy it, and it's fun. It's not hurting anyone. It's actually making people's lives better. I would argue. See a nice window painting, you go, oh my God, look at that. I'm going to go spend money at that business. It's a win-win for all of us. Do some karaoke. You get to go on the stage, sing Adele, feel good for a minute. That's nice. But to stir things up with people over their beliefs that they hold near and dear to their heart and be hateful, it's not good. Because none of this is going to pan out. Michelle Obama, remember her? The president's wife. Barack Obama. He was the president. He had a wife. Her name was Michelle Obama. And she was always like this figure everyone looked up to. Like, she reformed the lunches, which we all hated at the time when you were in school. I was in school when she did that. She took the brownies away. She took all the good food away and replaced it with like wheat, like rye bread, and they took all the mayo. There was no more mayo. It was like terrible what they did. They replaced the French fries with carrots at the lunchroom. It was crazy. She like reformed the lunches, the food pyramid. It was all crap. But either way, everyone's like, Michelle Obama would make the best first female president. She was very presidential. And so was Barack Obama. Do you remember this? But now she's like rebranding herself in like a Kamala Harris fashion where she has this Southern accent. And she's doing a lot of mm-hms, which is weird. Which is weird because she never used to really speak that way. And that's fine if you want to change your dialect a little. You know, Kamala Harris did it a lot. She would change it frequently and people caught on. But I never heard Michelle Obama speak this way. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but what she said was kind of weird. And I'm referring to this interview on a stage that you probably all have seen, where she was talking about straightening her hair and how she has to straighten her hair because white women control the female beauty standards and they enforce it that straight hair is the only hair that is beautiful, which I don't agree with, and I don't think anyone agrees with. I don't think anyone, especially white women, have ever said that, right? I don't know. She said that's why we, and I think she was referring to black people, don't swim. She goes, that's why we don't swim, because we can't get our hair wet, and that's why we don't go to the gym, because we don't want to sweat and get our hair wet. These are weird comments, and you know this is weird. A lot of people curl their hair with a curling iron. What about that? People with straight hair curl their hair. People of all different ethnicities and cultures and backgrounds and races, or whatever you want to call it, have all different sorts of hair. I have rather curly hair. What of me? I don't know, but she's saying like, y'all ain't ready for a female president. Like, what's that? What's going on? I don't know, but these are weird comments, and people are like clapping and cheering like it was all facts. I'm like, this is not even real. No one ever said this, and somebody should say, wait, that's not true, but no one did. They just clapped. Anyways, Wicked 2 came out. I didn't mind Wicked 1. I did feel it was a scam. I think it was one of the first movies of its time to be a scam because they never advertised that it was only part 1. And when I got there and it said to be continued, I was like, whoa, I just got ripped off. I just paid a full movie price for half a movie. And they never told me it was only half the movie. And now I have to go pay again to see the other half? I don't think so. Anyways, those two are freaking me out a little, those two. You know, you've seen them all over. They're a little weird. They're acting weird. And they're very gaunt. They're gaunt. They're like fragile. They're skeletal. All of them. Everybody in that movie is like skeletal. Now, what's up with that? Like, oh, the acting conditions are so hard. What, for the Wizard of Oz? Like, is it that bad? Like, is it that grueling of a job that you're acting and singing in the Wizard of Oz prequel? That it requires you to be like gaunt and skeletal? I don't know. People have been in other movies that are worse and they didn't look that gaunt. I don't know. Those two are a little weird together. I was doing weird things. They're acting funny. I don't know. You've seen the clips. I can't really tell you exactly what I mean. I don't really know what I mean, but I'm just like, oh, that's weird. A little touchy. They're touchy and like, you know, like skeletal. I don't know. No shade. I'm just saying. The movie's over now. Have a Buffalo Ranch snack wrap from McDonald's. Maybe 2. Have some eggnog. I'm enjoying this coconut water in a can, and it's phenomenal. I love coconut water. Hot take. A lot of people don't like it. I love it. Let's talk about Donald Trump. I'm going to do a speed recap of all the weird things Trump did this week. And we're just going to go from there. He signed the release of the Epstein files, which is crazy, which is a big change in tune of everything that's happened. Are you keeping up? When Trump was running, he goes, "We need to release them," and then the whole kerfuffle happened where he goes, "Why are we still talking about Epstein? Who cares? It's the past. Move on." And then they had the binders on their desk, and the files were on their desk, and people were holding up the files, and then the FBI said, "There are no files." What do you mean? This is a nothing. There's nothing here. And now he's like, "Oh, well, there's a lot here. Release the files." What is going on? Obviously, it's not going to be on the up and up. They changed up too quick. They're going to release something to you. Now, here's my only thing. If they release a blacked out paper that's all highlighted black and it's all redacted and covered up, because they already said they have the power to do that if it's going to affect security, national security, or put people at risk that's involved in an ongoing investigation. You heard all that bullshit that they feed us and want us to believe. If they give you the American people blacked out pages, I think most people are going to say, "All right, enough's enough. I'm done here." And I think Trump is not that naive that he knows that. So he's going to have to give you something. He's got to give them something. You got to give at least one big name. Now, is Trump going to have his people black out and exclude every time he's in those files, which he inevitably is? He most certainly is in those files. Yeah, of course he is. He's going to make sure his name doesn't appear once. That's a given. Now, the only reason people won't care about that is if a bigger name is left in the files for the people to see. And my little theory is that name is going to be the Clintons, Bill, and maybe even Hillary. There's a lot of talk about them. They were subpoenaed to court a while back. Their time is almost up. They want them to give a statement. I don't know if he's going to throw them under the bus. He protected them before. They're all in the same club. You know this. I said this a million times. They all protect each other. But is Trump realizing he's at the end of his empire? Is he already a lame duck? Is he going to do something to save his reputation that is in decline? Maybe. But you could bet your bottom dollar his name will not appear in any of those files. You know it. Now, his name appears in all the emails and these birthday cards and all this stuff, but he won't be in those files. I can promise you that. But will Trump go up there and say, "I told you I wasn't in the files. I was only doing this to protect them, and that was my fault. I'm sorry, but they're all monsters, and I'm actually a good guy. Here's the list," and let people go insane? He might do that. He might do that. Now, there was this leaked audio, and again, I said this is a problem many times with AI. You're starting to not be able to understand what's real and fake anymore. And this one was, I don't think it was definitively proven fake. A lot of people said it was fake, but I believe there's like a Elton John or Billy Joel song on in the background, which makes you believe that maybe it isn't fake because AI doesn't really do that with copywritten songs. But it's Trump screaming about the Epstein files, and he's like, "Screw Marjorie Taylor Greene." He's like, "Start a war if you have to, but you're not releasing the Epstein files." Sounds kind of like a lot like Trump. The only thing I could see is if it was someone impersonating Trump, and somebody put that out there just to stir the pot. But otherwise, it sounded kind of real. I'm going to be honest. It reminded me of that, that movie, the Nazi Hitler movie, Downfall, where Hitler knows the war's over and he's screaming in the bunker. It's kind of what it reminded me of. Trump going nuts. Like, do what you have to do, but don't release the Epstein files no matter what. That's an order. And you do have all these people that are like Hitler's inner circle. Like Trump's inner circle knows that without Trump, their career is over. Like they bet it all on Trump, and they did rise really high in power. But if Trump goes down, they all go down with him. So they're doing all they could to make sure Trump doesn't go down. You know who these people are. They're just blindly loyal to Trump no matter what. And anyone who isn't loyal to Trump, Trump treats kind of like a dictator. For example, Marjorie Taylor Greene ended up resigning, which I saw coming a mile away. Trump threatened to primary her. All the crazy radical MAGA people were turning on her instantly like they do. With, you remember the hang Mike Pence thing during January 6th? They were going after her. They hate her now. There's a safety concern. She resigns. She's resigning in January. She said she'll be back somehow. Maybe she's going to run for president. And I said that a couple episodes ago. She probably will. She said something interesting, though, in her resignation video. She's saying there is no 4D chess game. She's pretty much saying, don't be fooled any longer. The president does not have a secret plan to save everyone. And a lot of people I know, and even me for a little bit, thought that maybe he did have some sort of secret plan and he was using certain things as leverage and making moves in the background. And this was all to really deliver on his promises to the American people. That probably is not true. And she kind of exposed that, Marjorie Taylor Greene, saying there is no 4D chess. Very interesting choice of words there. Everything is intentional. Anyone on the global stage is there on purpose, make no mistake. And everything people say is part of a script. Which is why it gets even weirder when you heard the newest Trump headline. If everything is calculated, which I do believe it is, I just can't understand some of the things. Like, some of the things are, you're like, wow, didn't see that coming. And one of them, the most crazy thing, is just shocking. That's the way I could put it. It was just shocking. Is when Trump told a reporter on Air Force One to quiet, Piggy. He said, quiet, Piggy. And he made this little face. He was like, Piggy. Quiet, Piggy. Kind of the fifth grader in me, that humor in me, I did laugh out of absurdity. I was like, what? Quiet, Piggy? But then I was like, when I realized what was said, I was like, wow, that's the president of the United States. Crazy. Like, you would, like I said, if you went back 10 years and told yourself what's going on, you would never believe it. But now we're so desensitized to everything that we think it's normal. It's probably not normal to say quiet, Piggy, to a reporter. And this is why it's odd, because you have these people in these compromising positions that are loyal to Trump no matter what, similar to Nazi Germany with Hitler. You have like Caroline Leavitt defending the quiet Piggy comment. She justified it. She's like, well, he's straightforward. You know how the president is. You know how he is. And this is why I'm not trying to make these comparisons to Hitler lightly. I don't do that. I'm not like people usually bag on people. They're like, anything you don't like, you compare to Hitler. I'm not trying to be that. I'm saying like there's direct parallels, and I'm giving you them. Attacking the media attacking any media that says anything negative against you, and praising media that praises you. That's not that great. Sending out propaganda like, well, everybody says Piggy once in a while. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's a little odd, and having this inner circle that defend you no matter what, even when it's undefendable. But here's another one. The seditious behavior comments. These 6 senators or congressmen, the 6 congressmen, put out this video saying that you should refuse orders that are immoral or that you don't agree with, talking about military and intelligence agencies, saying it's okay to refuse orders. Again, this is not good. I'm not defending that. That's a terrible message. But then you have Trump, the president, calling it seditious behavior and then going online and saying this is punishable by death. Just like January 6th, they say that he incited the insurrection. I don't think saying something necessarily makes you responsible for it, but let's admit, saying things like seditious behavior is punishable by death and then showing that video in context, people could put 2 and 2 together and maybe they'll act irrationally, assuming they're under your orders. So is it the best thing to do? No, probably not. Is it something a dictator would do? Probably. He also changed Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, changed the professional degree list. So, in order to get loans for college, education loans to go to school, you it has to be on a list, your major, whatever it is. He chopped that list of essential professional degrees. I think it's called the professional degree list. And he got rid of like nursing and a lot of nursing like fields. I think teaching too. So now they will receive less money. The people that want to go be a nurse or a teacher won't have the opportunity to receive as much money as other fields. People are a little up in arms about that, especially with the teaching and the nursing. Who's going to teach your children, and who's going to help you when you're medically in need without nurses? Yet he's all for bringing more people into the country for tech jobs that are from Asia and other countries, but not for the American nurses and teachers, which is a little odd. And it seems to go against the Make America Great Again motto or slogan. Trump is taking credit for lowering tariffs, lowering the tariffs that he raised previously. I lowered these, even though I raised them 2 months ago. A little weird. Seems a little off. Let's talk about obscurity even more. Nicki Minaj is like thanking and representing Trump at the UN. Nicki Minaj. Keep that in mind. Don't even have any words. Just very weird. The Golden Ballroom is sort of a slap in the face to a lot of American people that can barely get by. They're buying the thin toilet paper, the toilet paper you can see through, the translucent toilet paper. That's how people are struggling nowadays. But Trump is like, I got more 24 karat decorations. There's more gold in the White House, which is nice, showing that off every day. And this past week, he showed it off to some people. MBS, Mohammed bin Salman Al Saud. Did I say that right? He's the Saudi Arabian prince, crown prince, the royal leader of Saudi Arabia. You know him, MBS, they call him. Showing him around his palace. There was like horses and stuff. There was like a horse. There was like a parade of horses for the intro and a band. It was like a parade when he got out of the car. It was crazy. Look that up if you haven't seen it. They're talking, they're chilling, and a reporter's like, hey, MBS, you had a journalist murdered. What do you have to say about that? And Trump's like, leave this man alone. Nobody liked that guy. What a nasty question. He goes, the nerve of the fake news. You see how weird this is? Like kissing the ass of these people, these foreign leaders that probably, aren't the best. To prove that it's all a sham, because it is. Trump also had Zoran Mamdani. Mamdani was at the White House. They're buddies now. Remember they weren't? Remember Trump was calling him a communist and Zoran was calling Trump a fascist, and they hated each other, and the stunt, all the liberals were cheering when Mamdani said, turn the volume up. With that theater kid energy that he has. Remember that? Now they're hanging out at the White House, laughing with each other. Trump loved him. He had like a little bro crush on him. He's like, I'm impressed. This guy's cool. And then the reporter's like, Zoran, you called Trump a fascist. What do you have to say? And then he went to say some like bullshit, politically correct justification. And Trump's like, don't even waste your time. It's fine. He goes, it's easier that way. Just let it go. You could take that two ways. Like, don't waste your time on the media. They're going to spin it. Or Trump was kind of like, I am a fascist. Don't waste your time defending it. I kind of like that title. Either way, it's odd. Do you get that it's odd? I think it's odd. It's not good. I thought they were enemies, now they're buddies. Well, I mean, it's nice that we're getting along with people, but the sham of politics is just crazy. And all those people in the New York mayoral race are like, what the hell, dude? What's going on here? They probably feel terrible. Trump's losing a lot of support, though. Even Alex Jones, pretty radical guy, longtime Trump supporter, though, even losing him potentially. But there are still the loyal pundits that will they'll justify everything Trump does, and that's not great either. Like I said, if you're really a supporter, you need to be extra critical of your own party and candidates. And I think a lot of people on the right can't do that. A lot of people in MAGA can't do that. And I think you need to start doing it because I just listed like 10 things that are problematic. And you should be able to see that. Like PBD podcast. Every time I listen to those guys, they're no matter what, they're praising Trump, even when it's completely against what they once believed Trump stood for. But people don't care. Megyn Kelly went as far, big Trump supporter, went as far to say, well, maybe Jeffrey Epstein wasn't really a pedophile. Are we really going to do that? How much are we going to alter to fit Trump's narrative? This is a problem. And it's chaos. And all this political pageantry is fake, and I want you all to know that. I say it every day. Here's my advice. Thanksgiving is coming up. I don't want any politics at the Thanksgiving table. Talk about something else. You could put on my show. I'll allow that. You could screen mirror my show on the TV instead of a football game or whatever else you watch. That's allowed, but I don't want any fights over Thanksgiving. We lost too many people. The only people stopped talking to certain family members over Trump and politics over the past 10 years. Think about that. All for nothing. Because it's all a sham. Anyone on the global stage, like I said, isn't there by accident. They're all compromised. And now you don't talk to your aunt because of Trump, some guy you're never going to meet, probably, and doesn't really have any impact on your life directly. You're not going to go eat your aunt's pumpkin pie because of Trump? Stop. Have fun. Imagine going back 10 years and telling yourself that. It's like, you're not going to talk to your aunt anymore over Donald Trump. It's like, what? Why? You'll see. But don't fight at Thanksgiving. Please remember what the holiday's about. Being thankful. Taking a step back, relaxing. Having a good meal. Sitting on the couch. Taking a nap. Taking a nap at a house that isn't yours. That's a fun time. Enjoy some stovetop stuffing. It's just a bunch of bread. It's like cracker, hard, stale bread that they put in water with butter. Enjoy that. Take a nap after you eat some stuffing. And enjoy a few more days before the Epstein files completely tear the fabric of this country apart. For what they include, or for what they don't include. This episode is brought to you in part by Three Saints Barbershop and Jack's Pub and Eatery, located in the heart of historic downtown Jessup, Pennsylvania. Also, Tusk Scranton and Picardo Jewelers. You will see me after the holiday, the Thanksgiving holiday, and then it will officially be Christmas season for everyone, even those that believe it starts after Thanksgiving, even though the real people like me know that Christmas season has been going on since Halloween ended. And Thanksgiving is just a meal that takes place during Christmas season. But after Thanksgiving, everyone, even people with that wrong opinion, are officially in the Christmas season. So that'll be fun and joyous, and we'll have some guests on, and we'll reflect on the year, and we'll talk about all that fun stuff. Until then, stay curious, my friends. Good night.